Hello friends and welcome to this lesson. In this lesson once again we are going to continue the work that we have been doing. We have been talking about para language. Now in para language we have spoken about pitch, we have spoken about tone. Now the third thing that we are going to talk about is volume. Did you hear me? So could you hear what I just said? No? Volume. You could not hear it. Why? Because the volume was very low. So volume plays a very important role in spoken English delivery. If the volume is very low, or if the volume is now if the volume is very low or it is very high, then it is not going to be very easy to listen for long. Now, let me share with you some of my experiences of live training programs where I call people in front of the class and I ask them to speak. Now, there are some who will speak with a proper volume so that everybody can hear. I purposely don't let people use mics for this. Though in many training rooms you have these lapel mics, and all training rooms are also equipped with table mics. So I don't let people use mics, and people, because some of them have not gone before an audience before, so they are very nervous, they are very tentative, and they start mumbling. What is mumbling? Mumbling, if you talk about mumbling in Hindi, it is called bad badana. Badbadana. Parallel, pitch, tone, volume, it is very easy to listen for long. So, when you start speaking within your own mouth, oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to tell that we are here to talk about something that is volume paralanguage. So when you don't open your mouth, when you don't pronounce words correctly, and when the volume is also low, that is mumbling. So when someone mumbles, then what happens? You can mumble at a higher volume also. I'm not saying you can't. But if someone is mumbling and the volume is low, then you have to strain to hear. Now, who would like to strain all the time to hear somebody? So that takes the listener away from you. Now, some people would be in the habit of standing and they would, almost shout. So, if you're going to shout, sometimes people get very excited while speaking. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you about this and about that, and what I'm going to tell you, it is not found anywhere. So, if you are going to continue to talk at a high volume in an excited manner, then after some time it gets, well, to me, it gets very cumbersome. I don't sit near the stage in the front rows for many motivational speakers. Why? Because motivational speakers feel that to motivate people, you need to shout at high volume and high pitch, and you need to continue to shout. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? And if you do this, this will happen and that will not happen. And my God, how do they find that kind of energy to go on? So it's very cumbersome for me. It's very distracting, I would say. It distracts me. So, my dear friends, what I'm interested in is the content. So, if there is low volume, then also, and if there is high volume, then also, it brings about distraction. So, for me, if the volume is optimum, then the distraction is not there. Otherwise, the moment I start moving this side or I start moving this side from the middle, then I am having distraction. So then I would either be straining to hear or I would be covering my ears because the volume would be so loud and I would be completely distracted. Now, some people feel that high volume is high effect. Now, my dear friends, it can be and it may not be. See, if somebody is speaking at high volume, then if the person is continuously going to speak at high volume, then what kind of high effect are you talking about? Because everything that you say, the entire content cannot be high effect. There will be parts of the content which may have a higher impact, and the rest of the content will be supportive content. So, when we are concluding something, when we are about to tell them a secret, when we are about to reveal something of importance to them, that is the time when you can bring about a slight variation in pitch, tone, and volume, and that would have an added effect. But is it going to be a bigger effect with a higher volume or not? That is doubtful. So, let me try to demonstrate to you how you can do it with a lower volume also and using your pitch and tone in a slightly different way. So, now I am saying, my dear friends, today we are here to demonstrate to you how you can use a very simple technique to get very clear water from your taps. You don't have to spend on highly costly RO filters. You don't have to spend on highly costly AMC charges. All you need to do is install this small device. And this small device costs only rupees 300, and you can install it in your kitchen and you can install one more in your bathroom, because in the kitchen you might have your RO filter, but in the bathroom and when you brush your teeth, when you're there on the wash basin, you're using that water. So if that water is also contaminated, will you put an RO in your bathroom? No, ladies and gentlemen, this solution is cost effective. Now, instead of shouting, this solution is cost effective, if I say, this solution is cost effective. So, even when I go softer, it may have greater impact. So, I actually don't need to shout at all. Shouting, I feel, should be employed when you want to call attention to something. That is the time when you need to shout. Or if there is something, where you are announcing somebody's award, and ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our winner for today. Now that is fine. But to get up on stage and continue to shout, now that's bad use of volume, I feel. Now, this may be my opinion. So, what I am saying is, we have learned three things so far in paralanguage. One was our pitch, the other was our tone, third is volume. My dear friends, if you try to vary these things consciously, saying that in the second line I'm going to change my pitch and then I will vary my tone on the seventh word of the fourth line, and I'm going to increase my volume at the seventh line. That will not happen. Let your pitch, your tone, your volume change naturally and not change in a way that is going to look strange or annoying to your audience. So, everybody, you, me, everybody, we have our natural way of delivering. Now, there will be some people who will naturally have a low volume. So, first we have to look at our natural way of delivering, and we have to see whether we are having any pitch, tone, and volume variance. If we are having, then we have to see whether that variance is enough to get the content across to the audience. Now, think for a moment that there is somebody who speaks very low, the soft spoken person. So there is low volume. Now, a low volume person, how can we teach that person to speak at a higher volume? So I'll tell you an exercise. Go to a room that is bigger and think of yourself as standing at one end of the room. In fact, you go and stand at one end of the room, and here you have your audience. Your audience will start from here, maybe, but look at this last row, look at the wall or the last row, and speak to last row. See, in my class, when I make students get up to say something, when I call them in front of the class to deliver something to the class, I always make it a point when I see that somebody is very soft and is at a low volume, I make it a point to tell the last bench, that last bench, if you cannot hear, you're going to raise your hand. So the speaker is going to raise volume as a hand gets raised. And this is how you practice. You have to learn to throw your voice to the end of the room. And this, if you can do it with your voice alone, without an amplifier, without a microphone, without speakers installed, a person can comfortably speak without a mic to about 300 people, 300-400 people in a hall. Depending upon the acoustics of the hall, you can speak to them without a mic. So my training in the stage, my training in theater, it helped me. In many of our plays, in many of our dramas, we never used to use mics. It was only when we went to the bigger auditorium that we used to use mics. Otherwise, you learn to throw your voice across. So please practice this. See, all of you are not going to become big public speakers. But speakers, all of us are, and we have to be good speakers. So, to be a good speaker, you also need to work on the volume part. And don't think that shouting, or don't think that copying someone else is going to be helpful to you. My dear friends, copying someone, it can be done for some time. Some things you can copy from others, because nothing is original. Everybody has learned from somebody or the other. So it's better not to copy but to adapt, but to learn and adapt. From there you learn, and then you make it yours, you internalize it. That you can do, but don't try to copy people, and don't get conscious of other people's style of delivery, because you have to now, we are, we are coming to midway of the course. Now you have to start thinking of your own style. So you have to think of your own style of delivery, and you have to start developing your own style of delivery, because unless you are going to develop your own style, you are not going to be able to make an original mark. So, to make a mark, we have to develop our own style. And the more you do it, the more you learn. The more you do it, the better you become. My dear friends, I've been telling you this. All those who say that when I start speaking well, I will start speaking in front of people. If you think that way, you'll never start speaking well. If you start speaking in front of people, very soon you'll also start speaking well, because that's the only way to learn. So, I hope you are now going to use pitch, tone, volume to good effect in all that you speak. It may be from a stage, it may be at a meeting, it may be at a negotiation, it may be with friends, it may be with colleagues, it may be on the telephone, it may be anywhere, any type of conversation. Unless I am heard, unless I am understood, what's the point of communicating? So each thing that I am talking about, it plays its role. You understand? So many things come together, and then we create a whole. WHOLE. So for creation of a whole. So, my dear friends, I'm giving you the ingredients. Now it is up to you to pick up these things from here and to start using them in your day to day life and conversation. Now, I thank you very much for having watched this lesson. We'll meet in the next lesson. Till then, all the best.